Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal Eden-Yate, and today I'm excited to dive into the setup of my 2023 daily journal. This year I'm going to be using this teal ampersand linen cover from Archer and Olive. My journal is a B5 size, which gives me lots of room to add in lots of words, and I'm just very excited to get started. After filling in my nameplate there, we're going to jump into my 2023 intro pages. For this, I have been binge watching some videos from Jashi Karan here on YouTube. I'll link her down in the description box below if you want to check out her channel. And she had this amazing idea of what to do with the first page here. It's always a little bit stuck to the intro cover page, the nameplate page. It's hard to peel those apart. So I'm going to embrace that and actually cut it in half so I can turn it into a pocket that will hold my year at a glance, as well as a grid spacing ruler, which is an amazing tool for helping you easily set up these pages into the future. I am then going to fill in some of the sketching that I have here. For my title page, I wanted something that looked very classic, very timeless, that had a fresh perspective, or, this freshness in the sense of adding in florals or these leaf patterns. And I also wanted it to have a little bit of a graphic look. So after scouring Pinterest for some different ideas, I came across a layout from a fellow bullet journaler. I will link the original project in the description below as well. And I adapted it to work in the cover that you see here. So essentially what I'm doing is drawing some really tight together lines vertically on the pocket portion and horizontally on the main title page. And then I have these leaf stems. I guess I should call them stems, right? I have these stems that overlay over the top. To draw those, I first drew the stem portions and then the branches coming off of it, and then drew my leaf on top of that. So the bottom of the leaf hit the stem slightly under where it ends, and that gives the leaf the little veining that would be typically found in a leaf. So it gives it a tiny bit more of a realistic look, but it's still definitely not super realistic. And eventually I will color those in with a green color so we get a little bit of a pop of color on here. For the right side of this, where I've got those tight horizontal lines with the stem overlaying it, I did make sure to pen in the stem and leaves first, and then I'm going to do the lines around it. That way I don't have to worry about drawing lines through the stem. I want it to look as though that stem is lying on top of the lines, and so I'm just making sure to avoid that as I am penning those in. One of the things I wanted to do with this particular intro page, and I'm actually going to carry through the same technique in my January setup and my January weekly pages, is some gold foiling. Now, I don't have gold paints, I don't have a really great gold ink, and nor do I have any gold pens. So I went into my scrapbooking stash, which is my first love in the crafting world, and I have some gold embossing powder. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, is using that embossing powder to create the gold foiling on these pages that I desire. I also really love when these title pages are closed in by a frame. I think it just helps ground everything. It makes it look really great. For my 2023, I first stamped out the 2 and the 0 using a large serif font. And then I am pulling out a scripty font, which is a stamp set I have from Ali Edwards. And I'll link also all of my supplies down below. So if you're looking for any of this, you'll know where to find it. But I'm using that script font to stamp out the words 23, and then you can see the embossing powder I put on there, heated it up with my heat gun in order to melt the powder, and that gives it this really beautiful gold foiling. I'm going to do the same thing to the pocket, except this time I'm stamping out a quote. The quote says, "The best is yet to come." I'm doing the top line first and getting that fully heat embossed, and then I will do the bottom half. That just helps me to make sure that the powder doesn't get everywhere. You do have to clean it off. I have a tiny paintbrush that I am using off screen to help me clean up some of the powder on there. I think I need to invest in a what is it called? Like a non-static pad that you can swipe over top of your page, and it helps for the powder to not stick to the page except for wherever the embossing ink is. But I don't have one of those. So for now, I just have to manually clean those up before I heat them up. And then here I'm filling in those leaves with a green Tombow marker. I wanted the green to be a little bit more muted, so not super vibranty green, but also not too dark. And this one seemed to be perfect for me. After I get this done, we're going to finish up the pocket so that we can make it fully functional. To do that, I'm going to swipe the bottom portion to the right side and use some double-sided adhesive on the right edge and on the bottom edge. After taking off the release paper, I'll squish it down onto the page to the left, and then we'll have a pocket right there that I can add my grid spacing ruler to. And eventually I'll print off a year at a glance that I'll stick in there as well. And now we're going to move on to my January setup. So for this video, I'm going to show you the intro page to January, and then all of the weekly pages I'm sharing as reels over on my Instagram, which you can find linked below. Once I have my January pages all filled out with journaling, I will share a flip through of those probably when I do my March setup. So you'll see the flip through of January, and then you'll also see the setup for March all in the same video. Carrying through the embossing technique, I stamped out the word January using this really cool sans serif font from Ali Edwards. I love the boldness of it, and my theme for January is 1920s Art Deco. I love the look of this. I sketched out all of my pages for the weekly setups, and I'm just obsessed. The line work is so fun. It's a little tedious to figure it out, but once it's figured out, it's actually really not that difficult at all. It just takes a little bit of precision, a little bit of measurement, and then you can get it down. So you don't have to be a fantastic artist in order to make these pages look really good. So I stamped the word January into the middle, embossed it in the gold, and then framing the word, I have a smaller sans serif font in black that says welcome, and then below it says please be good. Next, I'm going to pen in the frame around the outside. This does take a little bit of time. That's maybe what I will say about this particular setup or this particular theme, is that it is fairly time consuming because it's a lot of lines. It's a lot of, little tiny details in there. But man, the final result is just gorgeous. Once I get the right side of this page done, then my title page will be completed for January, and I think it just looks beautiful. I did, as I was putting together my concepts for January, I did go to Pinterest. That's my favorite way to search for ideas on how to translate the themes into my own bullet journal setups. And this one was very much inspired by, I want to say it was like a font, that there was an advertisement for a font, and that's how I found it. I'll see if I can find the original piece and link that down below so you can see how this began and where the inspiration came from prior to it coming to life here on my page. Another thing that I like to do when I'm looking at translating certain ideas especially into weekly spreads, is to look at furniture from the same era. So I pulled up a lot of Art Deco inspired furniture, and those became inspiration pieces for some of my layouts that you will see in this notebook later on as well. This final page in the back is something that's really fun, again inspired by Joshi Kuran. What I wanted to do is, as I'm putting together my monthly layouts and coming up with my themes, I wanted to create a full page that included all 12 of my themes throughout the year. So this includes some of the drawings, some of the doodling there, and then also some squares that include the color palette that I'm working with. So I have a black marker, this kind of tan-ish marker. I'm going to do a square with the embossing powder, so we've got that embossed look. And then I do have a gold ink that I'm going to try out as well, so I'm stamping that in here just so I can remember that gold ink is an option as well. Once I have that done, my January setup and my 2023 intro pages are done. We'll do a little final flip through here, and that is gonna do it. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed seeing my January/2023 setup here. If you did, I would love a thumbs up on this video down below. Let me know in the comments if you are bullet journaling as well. What theme are you using for January? And friends, I will see you in the next video. Bye now.